Well, Google DeepMind's Bard is out, and so now we have a three-way high-level competition between ChatGPT, Grok, and Bard. And of course, these companies are all comparing the size of their code bases, but I would like to take a look at each of these from a personal usability standpoint. Let's take a look. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. It is the evening of a rather long day, so I'm going to kind of try to do this in a more or less free-form sort of fashion, and I'm going to go through a number of different tests. I've kind of played around with some of this stuff before, but a lot of it is going to be real time. So we're going to start with the names, and we're going to determine whether the best name, or at least according to me, the best name between Grok, Gemini, and ChatGPT. I would actually put them in that order. I would say Grok is definitely the best name. It has to do with Stranger in a Strange Land. It's just a cool name, all of that kind of stuff. Gemini is also very cool, or Gemini if you want to be back in the 60s and do the space program. But anyway, Gemini is a pretty cool program, a pretty cool name as well. And then, of course, you have ChatGPT, which was the original, but also is the least interesting. I mean, they could call it Chatty Cathy or something like that as opposed to ChatGPT. Anyway, what about the look? So we've got Bard here, which is, it's fine. Whatever. It's a lot of different stuff. And let me actually squeeze this window in a little so you can see it better. But mostly it's overall kind of white and, just like a little bit in your face. Then you've also got ChatGPT, which is also fairly white, a little bit more, maybe refined, a little less busy. And then of course you've got Grok, which I think is also a clear winner here because it's got that dark interface going for it. It looks cool. And plus the fact it's also got the slash and the cool sunglasses there. So I think that Grok wins in terms of look and in terms of name. And I think ChatGPT is second best in terms of look and third in terms of name, and Bard is the second best in terms of look, but the second best in terms of name and the third best in terms of look. Wow, it's hard to keep track of all that stuff. All right, so what about cost and availability? Well, in terms of that, Bard definitely wins because Bard is available and it doesn't cost anything as far as I know, at least for the foreseeable future. So if you go to bard.google.com, you can see that you've got Bard available to you and you can actually start to use it immediately. In second place in this contest is ChatGPT because it's free, although you have to pay $20 a month if you want to have access to all the cool bells and whistles. So it's kind of quasi-free, but also quasi cost $20 a month. And then Grok currently comes in third because you have to pay the Premium Plus subscription fee, which in the US is $19.99 a month, but you get a whole bunch of other stuff along with Grok access for Premium Plus. And of course, even if you're paying for Premium Plus at this point, you don't necessarily get Grok. It's still very much a baby of this whole thing. So, it's a little bit unfair to compare these things because the other ones are bigger. They've been around for longer. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and do that. But so Grok is the loser in this category because you have to pay for it. And even if you pay for it, you don't necessarily get it at this point. This is all going to change in the next month or two. But at this point, it is definitely Bard because it is definitely free for all levels of usage. Then comes ChatGPT because it's free, but you have to pay $20 a month to get premium subscription fee. And then Grok because it costs money and you can't even get it with the money at this point necessarily. All right, so let's dive into it now. We're going to do a number of categories of comparison. One will be code. I'll do Python because I'm the most familiar with that, but these things do lots of other kinds of code. We're also going to look at examining images in other words, giving it an image and having it tell us what that's about, creating images inline, creating prompts to generate images in another program, writing us some poetry, booking a flight, and real-time information. So those are the categories we've got. I'm going to start with a pre-written, thing for the code because I specified something rather long. So anyway, I will put this in here on ChatGPT 4 and we will fire that up first. But basically, the idea is write some Python code that will create a Fibonacci sequence up to a user-specified n, and then check all the outputs that have been placed into an array to see which ones are primes, and then print out the sequence with the primes printed in boldface to make them obvious, then have it print out a graph with the Fibonacci sequence numbers in blue and the primes in green. So you can see ChatGPT is taking a while to get to this, and somewhat frustratingly, it does not actually show the code anymore. I found that out. It didn't used to do this, but yeah, so here, and of course it's also not user generated because it just selected the number 15 and very, very slow. So you can see ChatGPT on the speed front is not particularly winning. So I'm going to say, can you, please show me the code. Okay. And then more than likely it's going to take a good long time. Yeah, here we go. So it takes a while to print this stuff out. And while we're on this, I'm going to go ahead and copy into Grok the same command or whatever, and we'll put that in here. And again, I've sort of run some of these tests before, but a lot of this is interactive, so I will be waiting on my conclusions until the end. So you can see the Grok is substantially faster now. Obviously not as many people are using it, and that's one of the reasons why it's not available to so many people, but it is faster. It's definitely printing much more quickly, because here we go. We're finally kind of slowly getting to the end of ChatGPT. And then as long as we're at it, let's go ahead and enter a prompt here for Bard and have it do the same thing. Now, I'm going to run all of this code in Google Colab so that it's all sort of equivalent. You can also see that Bard is relatively slow, but usually what happens is it thinks about it for a while, at least in my experience. There you go. And so it kind of thinks about it, but it doesn't show it to you typing out, but it's very fast. It's like instantaneous when it actually finishes printing the stuff out. So when it looks at it, it's all cool. So let's go ahead and copy this code. So this is ChatGPT. I'm going to fire this up in Colab. I just had it import some stuff previously so that it would start running instead of, I wouldn't have to wait for it. But let's go ahead and copy that in. So this is ChatGPT. It's running, and it worked, but it didn't have user input. So that was definitely not something that I requested. So let's go ahead and change that and say, can you please have the N specified by the user? Now, probably what it's going to tell me is that this is a, I don't know, it's a sort of, it'll be like, I can't run this in context here. So that's, I don't know, it's kind of a awkward thing, but anyway, while we're waiting for that, while it's analyzing that, let's go ahead and copy the code. Also, looks like the code from this is substantially smaller. So I will just make a note that Grok's code, if it works, is smaller than what we were seeing from ChatGPT. Not surprising, because ChatGPT is a very verbose, like, LLM. So let's go ahead and print this. Ah, good. So this is good, right? So it's asking for the N. So let's just say we want up to 100 and then hit enter. And then we will see if it runs and how long it takes to run. And it's cranking away and thinking about it. Now, Colab, it's not, okay, executing 16. I don't know. It looks like it's taking some time to get there, so I'm waiting to see how that goes. In the meantime, we can check back on ChatGPT, but I'm a little surprised at that taking so long. Now, it is possible. There was two different ways of sort of calculating how far up you can go, and it appears I can't directly take any. Okay, so really seriously, I guess it's going to, oh no, analyzing. So I'm going to see if I can regenerate the answer here. It looks like it's actually still generating, so it looks like it's kind of stuck. So that's unfortunate on that thing's front. Let's go take a look at Colab and see how it's running right now. Interesting. Let's try a smaller number just to see what is going on here. So let's try again. So let's try 15 and something nice and dinky. Yeah, okay, there we go. So we've got our list of prime numbers here, and it's kind of an awkward looking graph because I wanted them actually in line with this, but at least we have the, I think this is correct, up to like 34 I can remember. After that I can't remember, but anyway, Fibonacci sequence, look it up online if you're interested. And then the primes looks like that is, I believe 7 is in there too though, isn't it? Isn't 7's a prime? Yeah, so it's actually missing some primes. So this is actually erroneous code, which is kind of weird because the prime number 2 to the square root plus 1. Yeah, that's a pretty standard, huh? Very interesting. If number modulo I is 0. Wow, weird. I don't know why it's mistaking that, but anyway. So this is more like what I was looking for. So Grok is doing okay, but is not perfect by any means. This, I think I'm going to have to stop this and see if I can regenerate the code. So let's see if I can restart this again. So I'll copy this here and put this here. I told you this was going to be sort of freewheeling. We would see what happened. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I guess it's reasonable that it's saying that it can't do this. But, okay, so now it looks like it's, yeah, okay. That's weird. I guess it wants me to copy this and put it into the same code. So it's not rewriting the entire thing, which is a little bit odd. But let's see if that works. If I can go back up here and sort of put this in here. Yeah, let's go. I'll erase this part and I will put in this part instead, which should actually make it run. And then hopefully, yep, we'll get, okay, so let's do 15 And there we go. And that looks better. Yep. Okay. So Grok actually worked better last time when I was experimenting with it and gave me the correct results. This time it looks like ChatGPT was doing that. Let us go ahead and copy this here over to Bard and take a look at what Bard can do with all this stuff. Oh, I guess Bard already did that. Sorry. I'd forgotten that I'd done that, but Bard is also making the same mistake and doing it like in line here. So let's go ahead and say, can you rewrite the code so that user can specify? And, okay. So let's see how it handles that for us. So in the meantime, I'm really not sure exactly why Grok got hung up with some of this stuff because it worked really well when I was testing it, but I'll have to look at that. So again, really, really fast. So that's pretty impressive stuff. So, and let me see, I don't know, it doesn't appear that I can copy it. Okay, here we go, copy. So it's down at the bottom instead of up at the top. Let us go ahead and add a code snippet down here someplace. All right, I guess it's up at the top instead. And let's go ahead and run it and see what we get. Okay, so let's do 15 again, just to keep it consistent. There we go. And this also looks correct as well. Kind of. So I guess it's bold-faced it and it's created a line with the, yeah, it does have 7 in there as a prime number. So that's a good thing. So yeah, I don't know exactly what happened. I'm actually going to try running this again with Grok because this is very odd that, it doesn't seem like, I don't know why it would have missed a prime number. That seems very odd because that's pretty basic stuff. So let's go ahead and give it a shot again and see if we get something different. I'll also notice, interestingly enough, that it searches for this before it actually does this. So when we get to the real-time information, that will be very interesting as well because it is able to search X in real time and Bard is able to search Google in real time and also YouTube videos and stuff. It's a little tweaky right now, but you can kind of get some YouTube video stuff. You can say, what is this video about? And it will tell you. So anyway, so very, very interesting. Blue, plot, primes, green, okay, number, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it looks like I don't know if we're getting exactly the same code, but it'll be interesting to see. So let's go back to Colab and let us add a new chunk of code here and paste this in and fire it up. Okay, so 15, I believe, is what we've been using. And very interesting. So yeah, okay, so even though in the tests Grok actually worked the best because it came up with the answer like without a question, Steve of Rosthenes, wow. Okay, very interesting that it's come up with a different way of plotting the primes. So I would have to say that Bard in this case wins, even though they have they required some tweaking and didn't work out of the box. Bard was by far the fastest and seems to have created the best code. In this case, even though in testing Grok beat ChatGPT, in this case I have to give it to ChatGPT because I think it created better code in the end with not errors in it. And now we have Grok in 3rd place for that. All right, next up, let's look at examining images. So I want to take an image that we were using to kind of messing around with some background for our website and everything. And I'm going to ask I'm going to ask ChatGPT here. Can you please analyze this image for me? Okay. And I'm going to copy this just so I can paste it into the other ones. And let's see what ChatGPT has to say. Kind of a cool image, right? I think it's pretty neat. So we've modified it further, but I think this is pretty cool for right now. So digital representation. Okay, good. So it understands it's a picture and a digital representation. Sense of movement across the surface, monochromatic, predominantly in shades of gray or black, giving it a sleek modern aesthetic. Correct. That's exactly why we wanted it, although we do have it colored now. The lines are studded with points. It could be interpreted as digital representation of particles or nodes. Very cool. Okay, so yeah, and again, as always, ChatGPT is very, very long-winded. So does not contain any identifiable objects or figures, making it an abstract representation that can be open to various interpretations. Very cool. Okay, so I'll take that. Let's go ahead and fire up Bard over here and let us drag this into here. And I'm going to paste in the same thing. And again, we will wait for it to upload because I don't know why. There we go. Okay, let's see what Bard has to say about this image. So again, I think it's just that Bard doesn't show us it typing out. Yeah, there we go. Just a language. So okay, so Bard cannot help with this. So it took a long time to tell me that. I could give it a thumbs down and give it some feedback. All right, and finally, let's go over to Grok. Let's start a new conversation so that we don't have anything getting in the way. And let us see if we can drag a picture in here. Yep, not going to be very helpful. So unfortunately, Grok does not do image analysis. So you're not going to get any analysis out of it at this point. All right, and I'm going to try Bard one more time because it is supposed to be multimodal from the ground up, but I have found it to be very tweaky because sometimes it says it's not and sometimes it says it is. And remember, Gemini was just released. So Bard has been around for a while, but the Gemini underpinnings of it have not been there for very long. So it seems to be operating in very much a kind of a beta fashion at this point. So that's really, really weird. I don't quite understand that because it has worked in the past. So let me see if maybe I do, maybe I just ask it a different way or something. That it's very odd because Grok is not, it's not multimodal, so it's not going to do it. But tell me about this image. Okay, let's see if that'll actually work for it. So it's kind of funky waiting for Bard to actually, man, it's hard to keep remembering the names, having to switch back and forth. Anyway, funky to wait for Bard to figure out what it's, oh, see, there you go. If you ask it a different way, it does it. I don't know. So, wow. Also exceptionally long-winded. So, black background, waves and bubbles. Waves are large and crashing. Bubbles are small and scattered. Image is beautiful and mysterious. Okay, I believe that, although it didn't, as ChatGPT identified this as digital, and this, on the other hand, seems to be thinking it's a little more realistic. Power and beauty, waves are unstoppable. It could be an image, also a representation of the human condition. Wow. Okay, hadn't thought about that. So the meaning of the image is up to the individual viewer. So there you go. Some additional thoughts. Black background creates a sense of depth and mystery. The waves are crashing, but they're also curling and flowing. Bubbles are small and scattered, but they're also bright and colorful. I would not say colorful. I'd say that was a misinterpretation. It's definitely not colorful. Very, very gray. Beautiful, thought-provoking. Okay, so anyway, you can see that here, the winner, I think, clearly is ChatGPT. It understands the image the best. Also worked the first time. I had to try 3 different ways to get Bard to actually analyze the image, even though it should do that no problem because it's multimodal from the ground up. And then Grok, of course, is the loser in this case because it's not multimodal at this point. Now, we don't know. It's still, again, a baby. So who knows where the multimodality is? It might be built in. They might be training it and it's just not available yet. We will have to wait and see how that works. But so far, that definitely, it comes in last simply because it can't do it at this point. All right, next up, let's have these things create images for us. So I'm going to, again, start a new chat here in ChatGPT. I'm going to say, create an image of a beautiful husky standing in a desert landscape with Egyptian pyramids and palm trees in the background. Something that is, obviously a husky doesn't normally fit in Egyptian desert, land and everything. So it will be interesting to see what ChatGPT comes up with. So this is one of the newer features of ChatGPT is that you can actually get DALL-E 3 in the middle of it. And okay, that's pretty decent. A little bit cartoonish for my mind, but also I didn't specify exactly how it was. So I'd say that's pretty decent. I like that a lot and quite beautiful. DALL-E 3 has become very, very good, and the prompt engineering is not nearly as challenging as it used to be. So let's try the same thing with Bard. I'm going to go ahead and do a new chat here. And I, again, don't know if it will create anything or not. I haven't actually tried this with Bard yet because Bard is very, very new. So I'm guessing that's not something I'm able to do yet. So yeah, okay. So, and then with Grok, I'm also assuming it is going to tell us the same thing. So it will probably say, I cannot make images. There you go. I don't have the view capabilities yet. Vision cap. So I can't generate or because, okay, so I'm sure it would be a beautiful scene with the majestic. Okay, so there you go. But so I think here we clearly have ChatGPT as the winner and, Bard and Grok are the same. So what is that Ricky Bobby statement? If you're not first, you're last. So that's basically that and that one. So let's go ahead and ask it to create a prompt for that instead for something like DALL-E 3. So let's say, please create an excellent prompt to make DALL-E 3 create the following image. So let's see how it does with that. So in this case, what ChatGPT, what it should do is create a very advanced prompt that will produce a good result when we put it in Dolly 3. I'm not going to bother doing that at this point because it's a little outside the scope of this test, but it's kind of on the long side. Egyptian pyramids. Okay. Background, majestic Egyptian, touch of verdant. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, we got a pretty reasonable thing that sounds pretty good in terms of a probable prompt for this. Let's see if we move over here to Grok, how we will do with the same task. So it should know what Dolly 3 is. Okay, here you go. Okay. Oh, pyramids of Giza. So it's being very specific about that. And the husky should have piercing blue eyes, thick, fluffy coat. In the background, there should be a lush oasis. Okay, so that looks pretty darn good to me. I mean, I think that's actually a very good prompt. And let us go ahead and, while we're at it, have Bard go ahead and give us a prompt for Dolly 3. Well, that doesn't look like that's a winner. Let's try that one more time. So let's see, maybe please create, instead of please, let's just go ahead and change up the prompt just a little bit and see if it's able to do that. So in this case, we are definitely going to have a loser if we're unable to do that. That also is kind of, I'm still learning to create images, so I can't help you with that. That's really interesting because that doesn't seem like that would be something it would have a problem with. It's just a text prompt and all of that stuff. So as far as I'm concerned, in this case, I think that Grok squeaks out a win because I think this is a better, more refined prompt just at a quick glance than what ChatGPT has, which is very, very long. But anyway, the two of them are neck and neck, and they're both very, very good. And then Bard is definitely pulling up the rear on the create an image prompt front. All right, and onward to poetry. I'm going to start this as a new chat just to make sure it's all clean. And I just came up with this a second ago. Write me an Elizabethan sonnet about an AI-based robot falling in love with a mermaid. I figured that was bizarre enough that hopefully we'll get something. So when circuit hearts do meet the ocean sway, a tale unfolds neath starlit digital skies. An AI wrought in cold, unfeeling gray. Okay. So we've got the rhyme scheme and everything. Her scales shimmer with the ocean's hue. Her song a melody weaves into news. Stirs in the romance chord compare. Cool. This is very Elizabethan, the sort of like love of different things and all of that together. And we've got the proper format, as if I'm remembering correctly. We should have 4, 4, 4, and 2 in the end with a double like whammy in terms of the rhyme scheme. So in the sea's embrace, where two worlds intertwine, a love is born, both human and machine. Ooh, intertwine and machine is really pushing that rhyme a lot there. So I don't know if I love the ending of that, but the rest of it's pretty darn good. So let's see what Grok can do. Again, I'm going to start a new conversation just to make sure that this is fresh and we're not, having anything interfere with it from the past. So let's see. In fair digital seas where X doth reign, a realm of bits and code. Interesting that it decided to be very self-referential here. So there lived a wondrous being forged in chain, an AI-based robot, free yet machine. Okay, unseen, rain, chain. Yeah, okay, cool. Depths of ocean blue. So it's definitely got the format again correct. And gold to show, entwined. So let's take a look at that last little stanza here, which would have a really good rhyme scheme. For love is not confined to flesh and bone. In AI heart, a soul was then enthroned. Okay, enthroned in bone is not perfect, but it's pretty decent. So that's a better rhyme scheme in the end. So I'm giving it to Grok at this point. Let's go ahead again, do a new chat so that we don't have anything interfering with it. Give it the exact same prompt again. And if experience is any judge, actually, interestingly enough, it actually is sort of showing it, writing it here. So again, we've got the same format. So they all succeeded in terms of getting Elizabethan sonnet format. Creature forged of wires and of code, awakened to a world I did not know. My circuits hummed with logics, cold and slow, till the day your beauty I abode. No abode, code slow. Ugh, the rhyme scheme is not excellent here. Sheen, tears, ears. Yeah, that's pretty poor. And let's see what the last one is. Oh, cruelest fate that I, a thing of steel, should love a creature born of ocean's veil. Yeah, okay. So I am going to, it's my personal opinion. You can judge it however you want. I'm going to give the winner, the gold star here to Grok for doing the best job of creating an Elizabethan sonnet about that subject. ChatGPT, a close second, and Bard, a pretty distant third. It got the format correctly, but the rhyming scheme is not the greatest in the world. So it really kind of falls apart with that. And one of those things, that's a form of poetry that really needs the rhyme scheme to work out very well. All right, next up, let's look for some relatively breaking news here. I tried to find something, it was a relatively quiet news day here, but I found this thing from Gene Munster on X that said Elon is raising $1 billion for X.AI. A week ago, he raised $135 million from investors. Bottom line, he wants to compete with OpenAI and Anthropic. And then readers added context that said Elon is not raising money for X.AI, and Elon said we are not raising money right now. So I'm going to see if I can ask this question correctly, and so we should get information right here. And I'm going to ask Grok first because it should have access to X, so it should be able to find this stuff relatively quickly. So let's go ahead and say, is Elon Musk currently raising money for X.AI? I guess I'll just go ahead and ask it that way. Let's go ahead and see what it does. It should, yeah, so it should search for this on X, and hopefully it will find exactly what we were just looking at right here. It seems he is. According to recent reports, the company is looking to raise $1 billion in equity. This move indicates the company's determination to make further strides and rapidly. Okay, so this looks like what it's taken is this information here from Gene Munster, but it has not. Let's see if it will, if I ask it further. And we can, of course, look at these sources here. So let's see. we can pop this open and we can take a look. This is a nice feature of Grok, is that you can actually look at something like this. So, okay, so this has nothing to do with that, interestingly enough. But there are several different possibilities here. So in response to a handful of advertisers, yeah, these don't look like appropriately linked things and so forth. So let's go ahead and say, are you sure? Elon stated that he is not. Let's go ahead and see what happens if it looks for that. So let's see if it will actually find the correct answer now. Okay, well, interesting. Wow, filed with the SEC. Okay, interesting. So interesting, we have this little thing here, and I honestly don't know the answer, because it says, despite Elon's recent statement that we are not raising money right now, the evidence suggests that X.AI is currently seeking funding. So I'll have to, I don't know, Grok and Elon, you're going to have to duke it out, man, because I don't have a way of answering that question. So anyway, we've got several things. I'd noticed that the formatting of this is not the greatest thing in the world, but usually if we go back to it afterwards, then it sort of like comes out here. So we've got December 6th. This is relatively recent. This is about 12 hours ago right now. So it says he's raising $1 billion for XAI. It says we are not raising the money right now. And from Schedule D, filed with the SEC last week on December 6th. So interesting. So we have some interesting conflict. I did not expect this. I assumed that the answer was going to be simple, but when would it ever be simple? But anyway, so if this is the case, then Grok would actually have been correct that despite what Elon said, that X is actually raising money for this. Now, it's possible that Elon was saying that he's not personally raising money, and there's a little bit of a thing about that. So anyway, let's go ahead and ask ChatGPT. Let's go ahead and ask Bard first. I think I know the order that this is going to all come up, but let's go ahead and do a new chat. So again, we don't have any stuff that's contaminating it. We'll go ahead and ask this. And depending on the answer, I will ask the same thing that I did for Grok. Oh, very interesting. So this is cool too, because this is actually giving us some context here. So they filed an equity offering to raise up to $1 billion on December 5th. He himself has stated that they are not actively raising funds as of December 6th. So cool. So that actually, honestly, is a slightly better analysis of the situation than what Grok gave us, but it was pretty reasonable. And let's go ahead and do a new chat in ChatGPT, and let's paste in the same thing, and let's find out. So now you can see ChatGPT is using the Bing search engine to figure out what's going on with all of this stuff. So the question will become, how up to date is the Bing search engine? And of course, GPT-4 has gotten a lot better than it used to be, because it used to only have data up to a long time ago, but now it's much more current. So let's see, recently filed with the U.S. securities regulator to raise up to $1 billion in equity offering. So apparently that is what is the, the current state of the art here. The move indicates a significant fundraising effort for the startup. The company launched in July that's not correct. I believe it was actually launched in April, has a focus on developing advanced AI technologies and has been integrating with Musk's social media platform X. XAI's team includes experts from notable blah, blah, blah. So this is it's not a great answer. So if I had to grade this, I think I would give it Bard first, because it actually specifies things and gives us a timeline and also says both sides of the story. Grok would be second, because it says that he was raising money, but did not immediately say that this was under question. And I had to ask it it that question to find out more information. And then ChatGPT last, because even though it seems to basically have an understanding of what's going on, it doesn't completely understand and certainly did not give a good analysis of the situation that's going on. All right, and finally, let's take a look at trying to book a flight. So I'm going to go ahead and do this in Bard first because it should work in Bard. That's one of the things it's supposed to be able to do with Gemini. So I said, find me a flight from Atlanta Airport to Tokyo, Japan, leaving on January 14th, returning the 21st. Cheapest fare in economy class, but the minimum amount of time traveled. Please take both of these factors into account when finding the best flight for me. So here we have a few round trip flights from 11:56. That's not too bad. 16 hours and 55 minutes. 17 hours. So this is a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit. Wow, these are very inexpensive. And again, okay, so now we actually have, access to the flights themselves. So it looks like this would be, I don't really want to travel 37 hours. Not that I'm going anyway. Wish I was. That'd be really cool. So let's take a look at this Air Canada AC 8568. And hopefully, I believe that is that one. So let's take a look at this. And will this pop us over? So this will take us over to Google. And hopefully we will be able to check whether this is actually, realistic or not. So, okay. So it's United and Air Canada, NRT to Atlanta. All right. So, yeah. And it looks like these are actually correct, I believe. So not too bad, although the way 29 hours, 15 hours. Oh my goodness. Oh, I see. These are just other options. So yeah. Okay. So Atlanta to Tokyo, Google. Yeah, okay. And it even tells us how much CO2 we're going to be responsible for, just in case you want to feel guilty about all that stuff. So this looks correct because it is on Google's flight travel plans, and it looks like it actually found 11:56. Yeah, okay. So I think we're good on that front. Now, I do not believe that either Grok or ChatGPT can do this for us, but we're going to go ahead and type it in just to make sure. So here we go, same thing. And let's see, I don't know. I haven't tried this yet. This is honestly live. So, oh, okay. Grok is actually searching. So maybe it'll find something. It's found one flight. That's pretty cool. Value Jet and Air. Wait a second. 100 days of flying. I'm a little bit, I think this thing is telling me a joke here. All right. I think, well, okay. Safe travels and don't forget to pack your sense of humor. So apparently it does not, let's see what happens if I click this link. I'm very curious to find out whether we actually, okay. So apparently we're on ValueJet. So yeah, okay. It gave me a laugh. That's a good thing, but it didn't actually give me an actual flight here. So let's go ahead and try ChatGPT and see what happens with that. Again, I have not tried this before. Doing some research with Bing, so it'll be interesting to see if it's actually able to find this for us. And okay, 378. I don't think so. Okay, which is significantly lower. A recent search for a round trip is low. Okay. So I'm just not buying any of this stuff. I actually want to see individual flights here. And also, again, very long-winded. It's giving me ideas. I told it what dates I wanted and everything. So let's say I have exact dates that I need to travel. Please find me the best flight with a link, right? Let's say that. With a link to book it. I think actually, if I've heard correctly, that Google's Bard might actually be able to book things in the future. So you might be able to say, go out and find it for me. And if it's less than $1,000 or something, just go ahead and book it. So that would be really interesting if it can actually do that in the future as well. So let's see if it will actually give us Expedia. Okay, all right. So it's a little more expensive. And let's see I have a feeling that the Expedia link is just going to take us to Expedia. So, yeah, these are not very helpful because, of course, they're not really giving us any information here. So let's take a look at Expedia and see if it's actually giving us a link to the exact flight. No, it's just going to Expedia. So that's useless. Okay. So in this case, Bard clearly wins because it actually has real flights that you can actually go ahead and book, click links directly. That's very, very excellent. I will actually give the tiebreaker to Grok on the loser end of things because I thought it was hysterical that it gave me a really, really funny answer. And ChatGPT is just annoyingly useless because it says it's helping you, but it actually really isn't helping you. So again, for this case, it would be Bard and then Grok and then ChatGPT. All right, folks, so there we have it. There was the competition. We had cost and availability, the name, examining images, creating prompts for images, booking flights, code, poetry, real-time information. As you can see, there was a widespread in terms of which of these programs did the best in any given task. I think that, interestingly enough, overall, I would have said that ChatGPT was the winner prior to Bard coming out, but Bard with Gemini, actually, I believe I would say that that squeaks by in a pinch there. Even though ChatGPT definitely wins in the images category, like it's just amazing that you can have it create images directly in line and all of that kind of stuff. And it's more mature, it's less wrinkly. You know, Bard with Gemini definitely feels like a beta product still. I gave it a couple of YouTube links, and I would give it the same link, and one time it would give me a really good analysis, and then I would ask it again and it would say I can't do that. So clearly it's in very, very early days and very, very beta. And then, you know, Grok has very big advantages in terms of its capability of doing real-time search, but Bard with Gemini and the ability to look at Google seems to have a pretty good capability in that too. So it doesn't lose by as much of that as one would have thought prior to Gemini coming out. So while each of these has its own advantages and disadvantages, I give the nod to Bard with Gemini. ChatGPT coming in second place just because it's the old warhorse and it's much more mature than the other ones. And then Grok is in third, but it's in third in what I think is a rather temporary situation. I think it's just very, very new and it hasn't had a chance to mature and add on extra stuff like the ability to book flights, the ability to create and analyze images and things like that is something that's clearly going to be upcoming soon. It's just not there yet. So at present, it's Bard, ChatGPT, Grok. I would love to do this competition again in maybe 4 or 5 months and see where things stand then. I have a feeling that they may have changed at that point. Anyway, definitely let me know what you think about all of this in the comments because I think this is a really cool competition. I hope you agree with that. If you have other suggestions for things to throw into the competition, definitely let me know. I purposely stayed away from metrics and all of those tests and everything in the bold-faced tables and all that because number one, other people can do that, but number two, it really doesn't matter to me. What I want to do is be able to utilize this on a daily basis. And I want to know which one of these is best for each thing. Will I continue to use all 3 of these? Absolutely. Just a week ago, Bard was basically unusable before it had Gemini, and I didn't have access to Grok, so it was really ChatGPT. That was all I had access to. But now I have access to 3 excellent large language models. Each of them excels in different areas, and so I will definitely continue using all of them. Definitely let me know which one you think is the winner from these tests and from other tests, and which ones you will be using yourself. And while you're down there, please do like the video so other people can find it, because as we know, that's how Google's AI works, and consider subscribing for more of this kind of content. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons on Patreon, my YouTube channel members, and my ex-subscribers. Thank you all so much for supporting this channel in any way that you can. And of course, if you want to join any of the teams, just check out the links in the description. And if you're interested in a whole bunch of really cool merch, check out our merch store. Link is in the description. We have TeslaBot t-shirts, the Tesla meme t-shirt, success is a possible outcome, 4680 battery cells. All of that stuff is on t-shirts, mugs, tumblers, and on and on. So check it out. And finally, don't forget we are both Tesla and Amazon affiliates. If you look in the description, you can see how going shopping for a new car, a solar roof, a power wall, or anything on Amazon helps out the channel. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.